This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Kansas City or Memphis barbecue? We'll start there this morning. Which one gets your vote?
Good morning, guys. Tom, yes, I side with you. I'm more of a soft guy than a dry rub, so I would do the KC.
Yeah. So you're a Falcons guy. We'll start there, then we'll work towards baseball in the series that begins tonight with A&M. What are you hoping the Falcons do? Everyone that's a fan of a team's got a list in their head working. What do you hope is the selection tonight for the Falcons?
Man, I don't know. We have so many needs. I think I've seen a projection of a cornerback. I've seen an lineman, and maybe even like a defensive lineman. So probably not going to be a super sexy pick. But if you look at our quarterback situation, I mean, Desmond Ridder, is he the future of your franchise? Do you believe in what he did late last season? So I don't think they're going to get a quarterback. I mean, I don't think you want to do that back-to-back draft. So I don't know if we're going to be a contender next year or not. But I do like the way we finished the season.
Tom, where do you think Drew Sanders ends up tonight or tomorrow? And do you think he's going to be drafted tonight?
I would say a month ago, it looked like most of mock drafts had him as a first-rounder in the 20s. But when I looked up recent mock drafts, not in the first round, and rated like, the 40-something or 50th player available, which is reflective of, mid to late second round. He's doing this from home. I think even though his upside, like NFL.com projects his upside is potential Pro Bowl caliber, there's just not enough data on what he's going to look like as a drop-back linebacker, in coverage, how well he's going to fit in. But I just think his measurables are really good, and I think whoever gets him is going to be happy they have him on their roster. It's just I feel like maybe they think if you get him in the first round, it might not be the value because you're just a little bit uncertain because of his lack of reps as a linebacker.
Tom, the over-under right now on Bet Saracen is 3 Arkansas players drafted. I tend to think it's going to be Sanders, Stromberg, and Landers. How many players do you think are drafted in the next 3 days from Arkansas?
Well, that's a good over-under. I mean, because then you throw Haselwood in there. Does somebody want to jump up and get Haselwood? What about Bumper Pool? A nice accumulation of stats at Arkansas, but coming off the hip surgeries. So, that's leads you to think, more undrafted free agent type thing for him. But you never know. Teams do strange things in the 7th round. But there's a couple of other possibilities out there. And, I just think 3 point is, did you say the 3.5 was the over under?
It's actually just 3. There's no half on this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's an interesting bet. Could wind up being a push because you feel like Stromberg will be picked, and then Landers, because of his speed and his frame, he's going to have a chance. So, and then Haselwood, he's just he played through a shoulder last year. Mm-hmm. And he was a solid contributor. He didn't have the over-the-top speed, but I don't know who his comps are, but I like his makeup. And he was in such good spirits on Pro Day. When we talked to him, it was just like, man, the scouts love what they see in me. I'm a no-problem guy. I got my stuff together. I'm committed to this, so I hope he makes it.
Arkansas has not had a defensive player taken in the first round of the draft since 2007, and Jamal Anderson. Ty was talking about that earlier. What does that say to you, and what does that say to recruits, and what needs to happen to fix that?
Well, that's a great situation, or it's a great conundrum, I guess. I think it says that recruiting in the SEC, 5-star defensive tackles and ends and stuff, and linebackers and corners has been tough. And who knows, maybe, Quincy McAdoo comes along and and he becomes a first rounder or somebody like that. But it would be nice if Sanders did that to break that stretch. But Arkansas has been having to be, when it has success, it's had to kind of piece together what it does defensively. You think back to the Petrino years, you had defensive ends like Jake Beckett and Chris Smith who were getting things done, good safety on the back end and Tremaine Thomas and, just a good versatile guy like Jericho Nelson was in there and Jerry Franklin at linebacker. There were some pieces, but none of those, guys were first-round talent. You just have to piece it together. Yeah. And hopefully under Sam Pittman, they start luring some 5-star D linemen in. It hasn't been happening yet, but hopefully it does.
Yeah, I think about Flowers and Philon. They had a pretty good run on the defensive line of getting guys. It seemed like a lot of them went to the Patriots, but had a pretty good run there on the front of the defense, getting not first-round guys, but quality guys that were drafted.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeremiah Ledbetter and Dietrich Wise come into that conversation as well.
Ridgeway with the Cowboys recently, not as high as maybe those other guys, but still drafted. So
exactly. Robert Thomas was drafted and actually had a pretty good stay in the league too. So, it's just, it's not like Alabama where every year, some of their D tackles are going to be first rounders. They're like Georgia now,
yeah,
which could have back-to-back guys in that boat. But it's just a constant trying to keep up with the Joneses, and D tackle is one of those spots that it's just hard to keep filled up.
All right, is this about? Let's shift to baseball. Arkansas and A&M get it underway tonight, Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, 6:30 for the first pitch. Is this about riding the ship, or is this about riding out the storm till the injuries subside and you get some guys back?
Yeah, well, it's both, right? Because they were making it okay the first week or two without Jared Wagner. But then when Josenberger got hurt, then Kendall Diggs, I think he's growing into a decent outfielder. Like, it's becoming more natural to him. If you haven't done that, some of the spins and, curves that you see on liners coming your way, judging everything, the catch he made at the wall was fantastic. Mm-hmm. But now they're, replacing two outfielders, and Jace Borfin is not in his more natural right field spot. So, either Hunter Grimes or Brady Slavens is going to have to play, or someone else, Robinette maybe, have to play in the outfield in this upcoming series. And it just it impacts your batting order as well. And they're just trying to survive until they can get back to full health. So, and hopefully that's the case. They don't think Josenberger is going to be super long, but you don't want to rush a hamstring and make it worse and lose him for the rest of the year. And then, of course, Wagner, maybe the South Carolina series, but should be back in gear here pretty soon.
Why does this team have a propensity to give up early home runs when a pitcher is either changed out of the bullpen, or even to start the game? We think about Jared Dickey and those leadoff homers in games 1 and 2 of the series with Tennessee. They won those games. We saw Zach Morris the other night come in, ball leaves the yard. Seems like either early in the game Arkansas gives up some home runs in the first inning and gives up those runs, or when there's a change out of the bullpen, there just seems like a higher likelihood that a ball is going to leave the yard. Am I perceiving that right, and why do you think that is?
There's something to that, I believe. And, of course, I would not have access to the metrics that say, the why, the location of pitches. But I think sometimes a reliever wants to get ahead. And, Cody Adcock gave up a home run to the first batter in the Missouri State game as well, I think. Or I might have that because he may be the first batter of the second inning. But anyway, that's all. No, I think it was
it was in the bottom of the first, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, trying to get ahead. And then also, what cost them so badly against Missouri State was mislocation of 2-strike pitches. They had some of these were 0-2s, and there were some 1-2 counts that wound up being hammered just because it wasn't thrown like to make somebody try to chase it. It was fat. So, they've got to improve on that. And, hopefully getting Brady Tiger back, kind of makes everybody better at ease in that bullpen, and that he gets back to form quickly.
Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports. talk about Mr. Tiger. Dave Van Horn said after the Missouri State loss on Tuesday night, there was a possibility of him starting. Tom, do you think he starts at some point this weekend against the Aggies?
It sounds like that's what they want to do. And if Brady Tiger is on board with that, then you just say, look, Brady, you're going to have an X pitch count, 40 pitches, whatever it might be. Can you get us through 2 innings? And then we'll piece it together from there. And maybe shaking things up like that would be something that would benefit Will McIntyre, because he's got to get his location. He's missing high, and he's got to get his location back under control to be an effective starter. And we've seen it happen for him before. So I think that's what they would like to do. I mean, ideally, they would like to get ahead of A&M with Hunter Holland and close out the game with maybe, a Dylan Carter or, a combination of like Ledbetter and Bybee or something like that. And then you've saved up McIntyre and Adcock and Tigert and Hagen Smith. And if they could get away with starting Hunter Holland and then say Smith and then Tigert, or Tigert and then Smith, I think that would be a solution that they would be happy with, and then piece in all the other guys around them.
Tom, last thing, Caleb Callaway and Jace Borfin's bats are so important right now with no Jared Wagner and no Tavian Josenberger. Callaway's now got his batting average, I think, above 300 when it was close to being in that 199, 200 range. Those two guys in this series, how important is it for their bats to continue on their stretch if Arkansas wants to get out of this 4 straight loss hole?
Well, it's huge, and I throw Kendall Diggs and Slavens into that as well. I mean, they have to be selective. They can't feel like, and Borfin and Diggs in particular have been really selective. When they get the pitch they can handle, they got to do something with it. And since Borfin topped out at 422, since then he's I think he hasn't been handling the good pitch he gets in an at bat as well. So he's vitally important. Yeah. Diggs is probably going to be in the leadoff role now until Josenberger comes back. He's got a great on-base percentage in leadoff. He just got to continue to be that guy. He takes pitches, And Josenberger, by the way, works counts beautifully. He's had so many 3-2 counts this year. But and Callie, obviously, when you start the season 0 for 12 or whatever it was for him, 0 for 16, and you're back over 300, that tells you something, that you stayed on your deal and you found the groove. And yeah, he is vitally important. Those guys have got to come through when there's runners on base in this series.
All right, bonus question, then you can go. Do you believe Arkansas is the top 8 national seed today? And if so, how big is this weekend to keep them in that conversation for possibly hosting both weekends?
Yeah, I believe they are today. I mean, their RPI is 5, and the people that rank things like their strength of schedule and so on. So, yes, today. But you've got 4 SEC series left. If you win 3 of those 4, if you go 2-1 in all of them, then I think you maintain that. It was the way they finished last year, losing the home series of Vandy and the road series of Bama back-to-back, and then going 0 for Hoover is what cost them the national seed. So, they just got to just continue plugging along and hopefully get strong with the return of Wagner and really compete in the South Carolina and Vandy series in the year, and I think that gives them a shot.
Yeah, I agree, because you got 2 teams ahead of you in the RPI still on your schedule, so a lot of opportunity ahead. Tom, we'll catch up next Tuesday. Enjoy the draft tonight. Maybe we'll see you at the ballpark this weekend.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
BetOnline.ag is your #1 source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest player reports for this year's pro basketball playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. Basketball, MLB, NHL hockey, right down to UFC and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games you can play right from your home. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.